Yo, yo, yo. What up, Snapchatters? What it is, what it do, what it be like? It be like today is the 1st of the month, right? July 1st. And that's lovely. You know, it's going on 250 years of America. Yeah, man. July 4th, Independence Day, 1776. The old Constitution. Yeah, buddy. It was a good time. And hasn't always been a good time, but here we are, 250 years later. You know, great nation, under God with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, man. So, I know I hardly do this anymore. I've been doing so much more, you know, with my time, and I mean, even artificial intelligence. Like, that's what, you know, ChatGPT, Snapchat, all different, you know, different platforms. But I got more involved with productivity rather than just being busy. You know, so I mean, a lot of my original Snapchats that turned into YouTube videos was just kind of me documenting my life in a sense. And it's kind of cool because I look back at those videos, Snapchat memories, whatever it is, and it's like I see myself evolve, you know, and ascend, you know, these levels of growth and development. And that's what it was all about. I mean, think about, it's embarrassing, but it's part of my growth and development, right? And it's the FBMM thing, you know? It went from what it was to what it is now, which is fight being merely mediocre, FBMM. So, you know, I mean, even that alone, like that was a, if you don't know about FBMM, look on my YouTube channel, Santino520, look up FBMM and what it is, whatever. And I think I've made some follow-up videos on it, but I mean, that alone shows like how I've, I guess, matured and grown and developed into the man that I wanted to be, needed to be for myself, my family, my friends, my country, you know, you. I mean, I've been around for a while sharing a lot of stuff, and it's been cool. You know, I've done some traveling, and it was like I brought you with me. If you've been following me for a while, you remember. And I mean, you can always look on my YouTube channel. What I started doing was I started converting my Snapchats into YouTube videos. And then life got interesting, and I kind of stopped doing that altogether. And slowly but surely, I've been getting back into it. And I don't want to say I'm getting back into it, because I don't know if I'll ever get back into it like I used to be. But, so why is this, what does it have to do with America? 250 years, right, of freedom. And, you know, I haven't even been around for 50 of those years. Close, pretty close. But I mean, I want to say during those years of freedom in America, this country has allowed me to do that. You know, I think people misunderstand freedom. You know, they think, oh, I don't know, there's different perspectives, but to me, freedom is that. Being able to make choices for the better. And having the freedom to do so. There's countries out there that you can't do certain things, even if it means bettering yourself. And that's crazy to me. So here we are in the United States of America. And, we've been blessed with, the freedom that we have to do what we can do. I mean, look at the people out there. You'll see people of all types. I'm sure you've seen people on the corners with the signs, we'll work for food, we'll do this and that, in the medians, in the centers, whatever, with their signs, and it's sad. But, I mean, look at the diversity, and then there's you, whatever you do, but you're not that person, we'll work for food person, because you chose that. You chose that. That's America, right? A lot of people are like, oh, what's America doing for these people on the streets, all these, whatever. And it's like, well, you'd be surprised. There's agencies out there. There's things, there's you can, and I know as a fact because I've met people and I've seen the agencies. You can look them up. Just look up homeless, whatever agencies. A lot of, there's homeless that face mental stuff and addiction, and there's agencies out there willing to work with these people, and however they got there, unfortunately, is how they made it there. But there is a way out in a sense. But I mean, they got to make that choice as well, just like they chose to be there. And like I chose to be where I'm at now. You choose to be where you're at, like right now, what you're doing, watching me talk about this shit. So, yo, what up, Snapchatters? What it is, what it do, what it be like? It be like, today is the 1st of the month, right? July 1st. And that's lovely. And I really hope not to offend anybody with any of the examples I'm using. My point is, there's people doing things, and then there's you, and then there's me, and it's all about choices, 99% of the time we've got a choice, and that's pretty much my point. That's freedom. Is free will, I guess, and as long as you do things right or better or not with ill intent, then you can progress, And interesting thing, using the will work for food thing as an example. Sorry, I just got a notification. Hope that doesn't interrupt my snap. But there was a time in my life where things were really bad. And I remember one time I had parked, and it was just a bad day. It was just a bad time and interesting time in my life. And it was one of those days where I was like, man, it was mostly financial hardship at the time that was really affecting me. Other things on top of that, but I remember I parked, I opened my door. When I opened my door, there was a piece of cardboard. And it said, homeless, please help, anything will help. Something like that. And I remember it because I still have it. I have it. I even put it in a frame so I can put it up in my office. And I can remember that day because I remember that day so well because I said, damn, man, things are pretty bad right now. But that's not my sign. That's not me. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm doing. And it opened like, boom, whew. Like, there was hope. It just reminded me, like, hey, is it really that bad? And I chose, hey, today's a bad day, but it might not be my worst day. But I do know that I've been through a lot of bad days, whether it's, I don't know if I've seen my worst day yet, but there's been I mean, I could tell you about, um, man, it was crazy though. Um, yeah, and I think back to it, it's like, whoa, because it just reminded me that I have choices. Like I said, you know, today might be a bad day. I might have been through some bad days, maybe not my worst days, but uh, I can identify some days that could be potentially my worst day. But you know, I don't try to think about things like that. I just kind of, you know, when I get to that bridge, I'll cross it. But right now, I'm not thinking about the negative and what could happen. What if, you know, horrible shit happens? No, I'm looking at, I'm counting my blessings. I'm looking about, I'm looking at what if things go right? You know, what if I just do it? You know, Nike's on or off. Like I said, my very first YouTube video actually, excuse me, it started that. Again, you can look up Santino520 on YouTube. And my first video, like, I want to say it was 10 years ago or more. You can check it out. But it was talking about that, about opportunity and knocking on the door and all this stuff. And it was, yeah, anyway. I remember that sign, and I put it, and I remember I picked it up, and I sat in my car again, and I just kind of looked at it and stared at it and damn near cried and thought, I'm keeping this. And eventually I'm going to put it in a frame, and I'm going to put it on the wall in my office. And when I have a tough day, you know, I'll be able to look at that and be like, hey, man, is it really that bad? Because another thing is, there was a point, things got so bad that it crossed my mind to dig in a trash can to eat some food. Like I didn't do it, but it actually crossed my mind. And it was at that point that I knew, holy shit, I don't ever want to be in this position. I don't ever want to have that thought cross my mind again. And I haven't. It hasn't happened. I that was probably the lowest of lows, and I've been in some pretty low fucking places. My bad, but you know me, I'm actually doing a lot better. If you look at my videos from before, a lot of f-bombs, a lot of craziness, but that's another. I'm telling you, the YouTube. Anyway, yeah, you can look it up, Santino520, and YouTube. And you'll see the evolution of, you know, where I've been, where I come from, at least from around, it was probably like 10 years ago. 10, I don't know. You could look it up. But dang, thinking about it, it's like, whoa, you know, like I was at a very interesting time of my life, and it got that bad that it crossed my mind to eat out of a trash can. And it's hard for me to talk about that. I honestly never thought I'd freaking talk about it, especially on a social media. But it's part of my evolution. Like, that was something that pointed me and like said, hey, look, you think it's bad? It could be worse. Open the door, there's that sign, and I was like, whoa, I'm not going there. I'm not eating out of that trash can. I'm not making a sign and holding it up like that. So that's why I have that shit in the frame. I finally found a frame for it. I could probably find it. I'm setting up an office right now. All right, I got some stuff I got to put on the walls, and that's one of them. It's in there. It's over there. And I'll show you eventually. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not as frequent as I used to be with YouTube, but here I am, and it's all good. You know, I'm being more productive with my time rather than busy. And there's a lot of times with previous videos of YouTube that, I mean, I was being productive at the same time. making these because I was driving and I was able to just make Snapchats while I was driving. I was making money. I was getting paid. It was cool, and I was able to do this, and it's been good because my purpose was to kind of hopefully help people understand that they're not alone in these things. Kind of like what I'm talking about right now. Like, you're not alone in this world. Like, there's people that have been through some things and may resonate with your story, and that's what I was saying in my previous videos and stuff, YouTube, is that hopefully by sharing my shit, I can help someone get through their shit. Because, if it's similar shit. It's a lot of shit going on. Man, oh shit. Holy shit. Man. Yeah. All right. So, I guess what I guess my point is that life isn't life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you handle it, right? Because I could have handled all those things differently. I could have made different choices. And here I am. Here we are. Like, this is us right here. And I'm going to put this right here. Oh, shoot. No, I'll have to hold it. But, yeah, man, here we are. We're doing cool stuff and things. And, yeah, like I was talking about, with the ChatGPT. And remember I was talking about trading? I posted a thing earlier with, it had an old illustration that I made concerning financial markets and the charts. And I mean, even with that alone, things have come along so well. It's incredible. And I went from a day where I was considering eating out of a trash can to working in the financial markets and doing some pretty cool stuff with that. And that's where I've been working with the ChatGPT and some other AI stuff for just helping people make better choices. So, and I'm talking about financial markets. However, this thing is going to evolve how I have, right? Like, that's one thing I love about YouTube and Snapchat is I've been able to document my progress inadvertently, not even thinking about it until, recently I was watching some videos of mine and I'm like, oh shit, like, damn, it helped me. It was very introspective, self-reflection. And yeah, man, it's just cool to see how things have really come along. And I love it. And that's America. I mean, I can't imagine being in any other country trying to have opportunity that I've had, and I've been in some places, you've been in some places, here we are. That's what I'm saying, like, we're doing some cool shit. I mean, if you're not doing cool shit, you need to figure it out. Oh man, and maybe that's why I am here right now, for you to see, like, hey man, I've been following this guy for a while. And I know a lot of you personally. And that's great. Because, I mean, then you know that you know me. You know that you probably see me go through different phases of my life where, hell, you might have even been there when the day that I stepped out of my car and found that sign. It was literally a sign. The universe works in mysterious ways, right? Like, there was a sign. It was a sign that told me, hey, man, it's not so bad. You can get through this. Like, you've gotten through so many things. You get to it, you get through it, you stay sharp right there. Bam. Stay sharp, man. Man, because I like to use the term stay sharp because a blade, if you don't keep that blade sharp on the knife, it's not going to be able to take to the cutting board as well as it should if it remains sharp, right? If it keeps hitting that cutting board, it's going to get dull. So you've got to get that knife and you've got to sharpen it. You got to sharpen that knife, that edge. Stay sharp so that when it comes time to hit that chopping board, that cutting board, you just bam, you getting it right through everything. Anything on that chopping board, right? So, so yeah, stay sharp. Bam, just like that, man. Remember that shit. Tell your friends. Hope you're taking notes. I've been taking notes for a while, and I just hope that I can help somebody help themselves. Like, I figured out some things. Like Napoleon Hill says, in every adversity lies a seed of equal or greater opportunity. The obstacle is away. You know, the obstacle is being those things on the cutting board, right? You stay sharp, right? You start feeling dull, hit the friction. You know, you gotta meet the friction. So you can come back and bam, get to it, get through it, and just keep going. And that's where I'm at these days. I'm just getting to it, getting through it, stay sharp. You know, when you face your fears, those fears being those things on that cutting board, a certain death of fear will come. And when you become fearless, you become limitless. Remember that. But yeah, ain't nothing changed but the date and the time, right? Here we are, 250 years later. Well, not myself. Damn sure not. If any of you are 250 years old or even close to that, that's crazy. But this country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, right? Yeah, man. America. I mean, I couldn't imagine, you know, being born in another country and not having the opportunity I have in this one. And I'm not trying to find out. And I'm not saying that, you know, there aren't countries better or with better opportunity or not. Like, I'm just saying, I'm grateful, right? I'm grateful for what I've got, where I'm at, in this place, in this country, in this time. Yeah, it's you know, everything is everything is cyclical. You know, you've got good, you got bad, you got ups, you got downs, you've got everything. You know, you can't, like, it's not always gonna be good, and it's not always gonna be bad. You know, you gotta just you gotta go with the flow, man. And then it's like, okay, maybe things are bad right now, but it's not always gonna be this bad. You know, and it's like, enjoy the good shit while it lasts, but like they say, all fun must come to an end, and then here we go again. But, you know, there's gonna be that speed bump, and it's like, oh, just be ready for it. You know, just face it. You stay sharp for those times, for those lows, you know? And then when things are good, that's how you maintaining that edge. You maintain that edge so that when things aren't so good, you hit that chopping board, and see, it's good. Bam, got to it, got through it. It's good. Got to it, got through it. Stay sharp, man. I'm telling you. And just remember to maintain an attitude of gratitude and positivity, no matter what. Like, there can be some pretty negative stuff in your life that happens, but like I said earlier, sometimes you just you get to it, you get through it, and life is 10% what happens to you, and 90% how you handle it, how you respond, and that's big. How you respond, whether how you respond, right? How you respond. Yeah, you gotta. One of the most recently, I've experienced, I guess, maybe not so much of a breakdown, but maybe a little bit of a breakdown where it led to a breakthrough. And these things happen. You can have a breakdown and it leads to a breakthrough and it breaks through. Right? You have this breakdown and it's like, oh shit, all of a sudden, you gain clarity in the breakthrough, like, oh man, okay, fuck, this is what needs to happen. This is what I'm looking for. Like, you know, something clicks, that moment of clarity, whatever you may call it. But you know, it was a situation. It was a very reactive, maybe even overreactive situation, and it got to a point where I had to say, most my life has been reaction, right? And I'm ready for understanding, okay? And why I say it that way is because have you ever heard that people listen not to understand, however, to react? If you think about that, if you listen to understand rather than react, there's going to be less friction and conflict and chaos because you're paying attention with the intent of understanding. You want to understand what's happening, right? You don't want to react. You don't want to get defensive. You don't want to feel offended. You just want to listen to understand. So that's where I'm at. Like, I don't even like to use the word survive anymore. Like, in a survival situation, yeah, you do what you got to do to survive. But I guess to a point, I survived. And then there came a point where I said, no, I'm not surviving anymore. It's time to thrive, man. It's time to thrive. And that's when I gained that understanding, that clarity that said, hey, you've been reacting throughout your life to survive in survival mode. Now you've gained enough understanding to where you can thrive, right? So, yeah, there are survival situations, but then in life, I want to say, if you're living and you're alive, if you're not in a survival situation, it's time to thrive, right? Like, that mindset, that fight or flight mindset, the survival mindset. You gotta get out of that mindset and realize it's time to thrive. Start understanding rather than reacting. And comprehension and understanding can get conflated, and you can do your own research, practice diligence on your own time. I'm just here to plant the seeds, pretty much, because I remember back in the day, I used to get people hitting me up often. They'd get a lot of feedback, like, hey, thanks for talking about that shit today, and that's, I don't know if any of you watching have ever had that happen to you. Like, that's a great feeling. That is worth more than money can buy. You cannot pay for that. And that's why I feel it's important for me to do this. It's important to myself because I get to talk about it, right? And talking about it is when you can talk about things, just like I was talking about when I crossed my mind eating out of the trash can at one point, and that was, one of the lowest lows of my life. And, I'm talking about it. I've never talked about that. So if you're watching this and you heard about that, you're one of the first to know or hear about that, And I'm okay with talking about that. That's when I was in a survival mode. And then things happened. There was breakdowns, right? That was a breakdown that led to a breakthrough. Like, hey, you don't need to eat out of the damn trash can. There's shit you can do. You can do things to avoid that and to avoid ever feeling like that again. Right? And that's my point. That's what I'm saying is when you understand that it's not that bad and there are choices that you can make to avoid that situation or that reaction, right? That survival mode. That's what I'm talking about. It's time to get out of survival mode, fight or flight, and just thrive. If you're alive, you're living, you're well. Are you really living? So yeah, if you are alive, you're living, you're breathing, you're well, you can stand, you can stretch, you can move. Like, what's holding you back? You're alive, but are you really living? It's time to thrive. That's all I'm saying, man. That's what I've realized. And I really hope that whatever I'm doing here helps someone realize that. Because you can be alive, but are you really living? Or are you surviving? Because if you ain't thriving, are you really alive? Like, you're living, but are you alive? You're alive, but are you living? Get out of that fight or flight, that survival mode. And it's time to thrive. And if it wasn't for, the blessings I've had, one of them being in this country, the United States of America, that's freedom to me. Being able to live life, experience life. Like, I went from, survival mode to thrive mode. You go through shit, you get through it, and you come out better, right? Like the knife. You stay sharp. Get to it, get through it. Your edge might get dull when you go through enough shit. Then it's time to hit the friction and sharpen that blade. You sharpen that blade and then you come back and you're alive. You keep that edge sharp. That's what they say. That's your edge. Because they say that's where you remain sharp. So find your edge and stay sharp. And face those fears. Because those fears are the limiting beliefs in your mind that are holding you back from thriving. Those limiting beliefs in your mind are the things that are keeping you in survival mode. And you need to get in a thrive mode. Okay? And I'm just telling you my experience, what's worked for me, and I hope it works for you. That's why I'm sharing it, because I'm hoping. Just like all the Snapchats and videos that I've made like this are intended to help people get through something. And that's why I share it. Because it's like, look, I'm going through this. I'm getting through this. And you can too. This is how I'm dealing with it. And, I'm sharing with you so that when and if, or if when is now, you can apply what I'm doing, and maybe it'll help you get through it too. And that's it. I mean, we're connectors. If we, excuse me, if we can all learn something from one another. And that's why I say we're connectors. If we connect and we learn something from one another and we continue to do that. Network and collaborate, right? Understand that we are connectors. And that's what I'm doing here is I'm connecting with you. And I have done this. I've done this before. I've done it for a while, over time, a long period of time. So this isn't something new. I'm not just coming out of nowhere, and just coming out of the dark, like, oh hey, you know, like it's really nothing new, and this is gonna be like I think it's a beautiful thing, because it's an interesting story. Everybody's got an interesting story, unique stories, but your story might be unique, but it doesn't mean that someone else hasn't been there and done it and got there and got through it. So that's why I share the things that I share, so that maybe I can be that person to help someone get to it and get through it themselves, as I have done. And yeah, there's no amount of money that can, like, that's priceless shit. Like, that's why I do it. It's not like I don't get paid for this shit. I mean, my payment is just seeing people make differences and make better choices. If there is any exchange, it's that, seeing a paradigm shift, mindset change. Because if you don't control your mind's going to control you. And that's really all it is. Your mind is the most expensive asset that we own. The most expensive item we own. And it's priceless. You can't put a... And it's the most... That's how expensive it is. It's priceless. And then you got to take care of it. You got to control it before it controls you. So...